The Cream Cake Mystery by Roderick Hunt, illustrated by Alice Bridgetta. Mom and the children were walking home from school. Chip was worried. He has to write a rap for his homework. So Nadine said he'd help him. I'll start you off and you do the next time, says Nadine. Chip's my name. Rapping's mine. He began. Homework, said Chip. No, cried Nadine. Why can't you work? What's Tom's next? Floppy rolled his eyes. It was so obvious. It's rapping's my game, he thought. I wish they could hear me. The tea on Floppy's collar started to glow. Suddenly, Nadine, Chip, and Floppy were dragged into a vortex of beautiful colors and light. They were whizzing round and round, faster and faster. They found themselves in a police station where the superintendent was standing at the counter. Just then, the door opened and a policeman walked in, leading a woman into the station. Cassie's her name. Stealing's her game, he said. The superintendent looked pleased with Jake Blake. There's no mistake, he says to Chip and Nadine, and then pointed to a pair of police helmets, constables' helmets on. He told them, "You check out Cream Cake Cassie's records," he said to Nadine. "You take the sniffer dart and visit the scenes of the crime," he says to Chip. Floppy was pleased. A nice job for once, he thought. Back at the station, Nadine had made the discovery too. "Excuse me, sir. I've checked Cassie's records," Nadine told Jake Blake, "and I'm sure she's not the thief." All eyes turned to Nadine. "It's not her normal pattern," he explained. "Cream Cake Cassie only steals cream cakes." The superintendent was disappointed. "It looks like we've got the wrong person." "Too right, mate," says Cassie, and walked out of the room. But Chip had some evidence that might help catch the real robber. "The robber is a rapper," he said, holding up the piece of paper. "Give me your lollies. Give me your sweets. Give me your sticky treats." Exactly what the robber said at the sweet shop. "Stick up," Chase gasped. You're right, which means the superintendent started. He must be the robber, says Chick, pointing at Nadine. Nadine shook his head. No, it's written. He started protesting. Yes, handwriting, says Chick, snatching the paper and throwing it in the bin. That's not true, right, Nathan? But it was too late. Jake reached for his handcuffs, sent staring at him. You've got to help me, Chip! Nadine shouted. Find the rhyming pattern and you'll find the clue. Floppy retrieved the paper from the bin and passed it to Chip, who looked at it carefully. Donuts next, he read, and then I'll take a huge delicious, but he couldn't read the end. Floppy barked. It was so obvious to him, but he couldn't get Chip to understand. Chip thought hard. A huge, delicious, sparkling lake, he cried. Chip shook his head. Well, it rhymes, but it doesn't make much sense, he said. You're telling me, thought Floppy. Chip tried again. Donuts next, and then I'll take a huge, delicious, bright green lake, he cried. Floppy sighed. Why couldn't Chip work it out? Just then, Jake Blake walked in eating a donut. Floppy leapt up and grabbed it out of his hand, then dropped it next to Chip. Jake was crossed and stormed out of the room. Chip looked at the donut. Oh, I get it, he said. Donuts next, and then I'll take a huge, delicious donut break. Floppy slumped to the floor. It didn't seem as if Chip was ever going to get it. Chip tried again. A huge, delicious birthday cake, he suggested. Floppy barked his approval. At last, as the baker had made an enormous and rather special birthday cake, which he put in the shop window. Then Chip, the superintendent, and the baker all hid behind the counter to wait for the robber. They waited and waited. Finally, the masked robber burst through the door. Donuts next, and now I'll take a huge, delicious birthday cake, he laughed greedily, but just as he stepped towards the cake, Nadine and Floppy jumped out of it, covered in icing. Floppy knocked the robber to the ground and started slurping all the cake off him. You're under arrest, said Nadine as he handcuffed the robber. Good work, Sha. Well done, Robinson, said the superintendent. And I think I know who your rapping robber is. Chip pulled off the robber's mask. It was Chick Blake. Just as I thought. Blake, you're a disgrace to the force. Chick Blake went red with shame. Eating sugar all the time turned me to a life of crime, he confessed. The baker was very pleased. Here's a bed of sausage rolls for both of you, he says to Chip and Nadine. Floppy was hungry. Wasn't anyone going to give him any food? Don't forget my brilliant bet, said Chip. Forget bet. Hey, that rhymes. Chip turns to look at Floppy. The kid's glowing, he said. We're going, thought Floppy. They were back on the footpath by their school. Chip took out his notepad and pen and started writing furiously. When he'd finished, he turned to the others. Got it, he said. They all gathered round as Chip read out his rap. Here's a rap about my pet. He's a dog, you won't forget. He doesn't mind when he's all wet. Bones are what he likes to get. He doesn't like to see the vet. I think he is the best dog yet. Everyone clapped and cheered. They all thought it was a brilliant rap, especially Floppy. The end. Thank you for watching. Please click the subscribe button for more stories.